Hey, welcome back. The maintenance has concluded and the servers have come back up, which means it's time to check out the new patch. This week is not a big one, but there's still a couple of interesting things. Let's get right into it. First, the DPS meter was finally added into the game. You can access it by going into the main menu and going into combat analysis. It will bring up this window. You can begin the DPS meter by clicking on this button, then it will start recording your DPS. Once you're done, you can click on this button right here to expand on the details and see all of the data in its glory. You can also move the window wherever you want and increase the transparency by clicking on this button up to 3 times. Next, the mission tracker has been expanded to be able to accept up to 20 quests. The main difference with this is that you'll actually be able to do all of your Abyss contracts at the same time now. They have added a re-challenge button to Ascension Trial, similar to Daily Dungeon. Once you finish clearing, if you click the re-entry, it's going to make you re-enter at the same difficulty level. A couple of changes have been brought to the Abyss, namely you're now able to see the hotspots on the maps on both Lower and Middle Rashanta. The drop rates of the monsters in the hotspots have been adjusted, and soul stones have been added to the drop table of the monsters in Middle Rashanta. If you don't know what those are, soul stones are the mana stones you put into accessories. The artifact siege has also been changed to take place on clusters of server in a 5-minute differential. You're now able to craft superior mana stone directly using intermediate mana stone with alchemy. With the regular mana stones being level 35 professional, it will require 30 intermediate stones, 10 powders, and 2 exceptional inks. The Abyss time stones have been discontinued from the Shugo shop, and a couple of improvements have been made. Namely, the piano location has been changed to be integrated inside of the villages instead of being on a floating platform. Guards will now do damage based on percentage health instead of hard damage, which means that regardless of your gear, you will be taking the same amount of damage. Legion logs have been added. You're able to check the record by clicking on this button. Obviously it's empty right now. Items that you have failed selling on the auction house will now be able to be re-put immediately from the menu. Bundles can now be opened even if your inventory is full, and a couple of minor bug fixes have been brought into the game. Next, class changes. The focus of this patch was mainly to bring Cleric's DPS more in line with that of Chanters. Earth punishment damage was increased by 30%, and the second spec was changed to reduce smite resist. The value is 7%. Condemnation's animation speed was sped up, the damage was increased by 30%, and the self reset was changed from 50% to 75%. Bolt's 4 specs was changed to inflict more damage on single targets. Debilitating Mark as well as Chain of Torment saw its damage increased by 20%. The self-resurrection from Light of Protection was moved over to the passive Immortal Veil, which actually is kind of enough because with a decent amount of CDR, your self-resurrection was basically on less than a 2 minutes cooldown, and you were able to reduce the cooldown further with Lightning Strike Scattershot, but now it's a flat 3 minutes. The health condition on Earth Grace was removed, and Empyrean Lord's Grace damage was buffed by 30%, condition was removed, and it now provides a bit of smite. At level 10, the smite amount is 2%. Spirit Master's pet was fixed to also go in stealth if an assassin used the AoE stealth, and the Sork's Inferno damage was buffed by 20%, specifically for PvP. And finally, a couple of bug fixes were introduced. Most notably, there was a combination of specs on Templar that made it so your life leech drained 1-to-1, and that will cover everything for the patch notes. Next, let's move on to the data mining side of things. Now, this week doesn't have a massive amount, but obviously with Season 3 coming out next week, we do have some stuff on that front. First, something that wasn't announced on the patch note but we found out through the data mining is one of the new weekly missions in the Abyss that used to require to kill 1,000 monsters was changed as a gathering quest. As you can see here, you will now need to collect 30 Odil to get your 3 silver medals. Next, Elementalist was renamed as Spirit Master pretty much everywhere in the client. I'm sure the AION players will be happy to see that. The dungeon map for the Mirror Heart dungeon was added, which is the Transcendence Chromite dungeon that will appear at the end of Season 3. A new pet was added, and some monster portraits for Season 3 stuff was added as well. And finally, dungeon data for a dungeon called Arrakis Ruin was added into the client, with no further information for now. Once again, data mining is courtesy of Yukity on my Discord. If you would like to see the data minings happen in real time, or you would like to browse the previous data mining, the link will be in the description below. And that will be everything for the data mining side, as well as this video. As always, if you like the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. I stream this game several times a week on both Twitch and YouTube, so make sure to swing by and say hi. Until next time, take care.